in memory of John Hurt. Gilbert Ward Kane, or better known by the title of Thomas Kane, was born on the 20th of April 2083 at Boreham Wood, Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. Thomas Kane quickly progressed through his school as he was seen as a star pupil by his educators. Kane eventually graduated with honours from the Weatherly Private School and then enrolled and rapidly became top of his class while attending the Gunningfoss Military School. After this, he moved to Bryce Watkins Medical University, where Kane hoped to gain a medical profession. This would be ruined, however, by himself, when he would eventually become addicted to various medications that later caused him to become hospitalised. After his 100-day recovery from his addiction, he's expelled from the university, and so goes his dream of a profession in medicine. Kane decided then to instead attend the Wellington Academy at Suffolk, England, where he eventually obtained a master's degree in the field of engineering, as well as his commercial pilot's license. From this point, he would be posted aboard the UKMS Outreach Hospital ship. However, Kane couldn't help himself, and while aboard, he fell back into his old habits, once again taking up a medicine addiction. Soon he was relieved of duty and promptly became an alcoholic. He was transferred to the UKCS Powell commercial towing vessel and then to the USCSS Giller, serving as first executive officer, during which time Kane began to pull himself together and changed his attitude by getting clean of his addiction. A while after, Kane was posted aboard the USCSS towing vessel the Nostromo. During a routine return flight to Earth from Thetis, the Nostromo dropped out of FTL early and awakened the crew from their sleep. Thinking they would soon be home, the crew rejoiced and took to going about their usual business. However, shortly after, crew member Lambert and Ripley discovered that they are not in fact in their solar system. While Kane and the crew sit around a dinner table in the mess hall, Captain Dallas informed them that they had fallen short of Earth, as the Nostromo had picked up a signal that was emanating from an uncharted moon called LV-426. Left with only two choices, their continuation and the forfeit of the company's shares, or the investigation that would keep them their jobs, the decision became quite clear that they would be investigating the source of the signal. After a rough and damaging landing on the harsh world of LV-426, Kane leaves the ship with crew members Lambert and Dallas, donning spacesuits to venture into LV-46's toxic atmosphere in order to track down the source of the signal. Eventually, after what seemed like hours of slowly making their way through strange outcroppings of rock across the planet's surface, they saw it. Before their eyes was a massive alien structure. Kane stared in it, bewildered, presuming it to be some kind of ship. But he couldn't be certain, as it was like nothing he had seen before. Once they made it to the ship, they entered through an opening in the ship's outer hull, while sending all these events in video form back to Ash aboard the Nostromo, who was constantly monitoring their progress. They eventually make their way into the ancient-looking ship, and Kane paced his way slowly and cautiously through the curving corridors that appeared to be of organic design, followed by his two crew members. After some time, they came upon the opening in a hallway, and the three walked into the darkness. It was revealed as a large, cavernous room surrounding them. At the center, though, there was a massive structure that rose above them. It wasn't until Kane was boosted by the others up onto the structure's platform that they saw it. Its appearance indicated it to be a long-dead alien organism that showed signs that it had grown into or out from its chair. Kane is reluctant to approach and waits for the rest of the crew to continue. Once standing on the platform, they marvel at the sight and begin speculating on how old the creature was. They discover that the being had been killed by something that had burst through its chest area. Soon, they discover a hole in the platform not far away from where the creature was situated, and eventually decide to send Kane down to investigate via a winch system. Kane attaches himself and is lowered slightly down the hole. Kane knew that the cable was strong enough to easily hold 10 times his weight, but he grasped it with his life nevertheless, as tight as he could while he descended. Eventually he moved past the blackness of the tunnel, and it was revealed that he was in a gigantic, cavernous-like structure that seemed to spread out from the ship. Once he hit a platform below, he immediately stood up and looked out over his surroundings. He walked slowly across the long platform, and suddenly Kane loses his footing and goes tumbling through a thin blue mist. He fell into a soft soil-like substance and lay a few feet below the bottom of the mist. Here is where Kane would meet mystery and fear itself. After ensuring that he is okay to Dallas and Lambert, he keeps on, and as he continues, he contacts a number of strange egg-like creatures. He announces his discovery to the others. Kane aimed a flashlight at the egg and discovered that it was in fact translucent, and it allowed him to see something within its holdings. Kane moved towards the egg, and as he got close enough, the egg seemed to react to his presence, with top petal-like flaps opening at the apex of the egg, and as this happened, quite suddenly, Kane fell back, scrambling for his sidearm. He felt now quite uneasy. Now holding his pistol just in front of his body, he slowly reapproached the organism. He peered into the now exposed innards of the creature. Pink, soft flesh coated its interior, with a number of white and pinkish tendrils and flaps concealing what he saw with the flashlight. In an immensely fast action, the creature buried within the egg burst free from within like a viper. It grappled around the faceplate of his suit, and Kane fell back in shock as he heard the sizzling of his helmet. The creature was burning its way through somehow, and he could do nothing but think of what the creature would do to him once it entered his suit. The creature pushed its way into his helmet and wrapped its powerful tail around his neck, forcing some structure down his throat. Kane experienced a deep feeling of smothering and an invasion of his body. His struggle eventually subsided as he began to feel incredibly frail, weak, and tired. Kane's body was retrieved and winched back up by Dallas and Lambert, who carted him back to the Nostromo, where after a brief disagreement with the crew on how to handle the situation, he was brought aboard, ignoring quarantine procedures, and they took him immediately to the medbay. Kane's next waking moment would occur, however, after a number of attempts to remove the creature from his face by both Dallas and crew member Ash. When awoken, Ash informed the crew and told Kane about the ordeal, as he had little memory of the events. Ash and Dallas tried and failed multiple times to remove the creature, and in the end the creature died and simply removed itself from Kane's face. Kane didn't care, however, and he was just overjoyed that his friend was now gone. The whole crew eventually gathered to greet their fellow crew member, as he asked for water to soothe his incredible thirst. The only memory of the events that he had during his time with the creature was a coma dream that Kane said had felt like an experience involving him and smothering. Just thinking about this made Kane feel violated and claustrophobic, so he quickly began to change the topic to where they currently were in terms of getting back to Earth. The crew informed him that they would soon be re-entering their cryopods for the journey back to Earth. However, they collectively decided that one last meal would be appropriate before doing so. They all sat and gathered, talking, joking and laughing about different things. Kane was mostly just glad to get some food, as he had experienced a terrible hunger and thirst after waking up. As he was eating, Kane began feeling severe stabbing pains throughout his torso, so much that they winded him. He was frozen for a time whilst eating the food he was chewing on. He felt it fall into his throat. This caused a spasm of coughing and spluttering. He wanted to scream, however the pain increased. It turned from simple stabbing to violent and forceful pushes around in his various organs. He could actually feel a pressure from within, crushing and tearing at his internal body. Fissures appeared in his tissues as something moved frantically from within, which caused internal bleeding as he fell onto the table and desperately began to try and shake off this pain. Kane became terrified, but nothing but pain could be expressed on his now red-blushed cheeks and blood-filled veins that now protruded from his skull. Just as the tearing stopped for a split second, the following action felt like a car with strings tied to every nerve in his body had rammed the inside of his chest. This created a gash on the skin, appearing just above his ribcage. It spewed through a spray of bright red blood that had been accumulating from the rampage occurring within. Kane, now sporadic, had his friends surrounding him, trying their best to contain the situation, but it was to no avail. Again, Kane felt the pain stop, and he knew that the next ramming surely would crack his ribcage. He spun and flailed in fear, as he knew that there was nothing he could do to stop something that was inside of him from trying to get out. And with one swift attack at Kane's ribcage, a creature burst forth, pushing outwards on his body. As this happened, Kane's pain rose to an ever-increasing and horrifically ultimate peak, but then began to fade to a nothingness. In his dying moments, he tried to lift his head to view his killer, but all energy escaped him. Kane died right there on the mess hall table of the Nostromo. The rest of the crew viewed the creature free itself from Kane and then run into the bleakness of the ship's halls as they stood there stunned. After his death, the crew held a short funeral for Kane before they jettisoned his remains into space. Kane was a very intelligent individual that lacked imagination and the proper decision-making skills to act on his intelligence. He was prone to making decisions out of curiosity, and by his time on the Nostromo, he had become someone with a lack of energy and who preferred to stay in the shadow of another. His carelessness for his own well-being would lead to him to become a drug and alcoholic addicted person, leading to the end of many of his endeavours in terms of his career, and would eventually endanger and end his life determined by his careless curiosity of an alien creature. But that's basically it for this video, guys. If you think I left anything out, if you want to add something, or if you just want to talk about this video or any other videos, just head down to the comment section. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with everything we're doing here on the channel, you can follow me on Twitter, you can join the Discord, or you can just subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload. And if you want to support us further, you can become a Patreon and get access to early content and behind the scenes content. But that's basically going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.